Well, it's day 2 at the Nigerian Economic Summit at the Transcorp Hilton Hotel in Abuja. And of course, as you can see there from the live pictures, participants are already seated. And in any moment from now, the sessions are going to commence. Well, of course, let's hand you over to our correspondent there, Nelta Egbe, who is standing by to give us the details.
Day 2 of the 20th edition of the National Economic Summit, holding at the Transcorp Hilton Hotel in Abuja. Now, yesterday was the opening session where we saw a lot of discussion. A lot of people talked about the situation in the educational sector in Nigeria. The build-up was from the historical background, from the foundation. How did it all start? Where did the decay come in? What is the way forward? How can we build a different storyline? How can we change what's going on in the educational sector? Today, the focus is the purpose of education, purposeful learning. Is it possible to change the focus of our learning systems, of our schools, of our educational sector from the usual norm to a different way where we begin to think innovation, where we begin to think at imagination, with imagination, we'll begin to learn with imagination. That's what the focus is going to be today, discussing the purpose of education in Nigeria and for Nigeria to define the overarching aims of Nigerian education and to determine the values, competencies, skills, knowledge that we would like Nigerian students to possess. Link education priorities to national developmental aspirations. Now, these are some of the issues that will be looked at today, and the different people. There are 2 major plenaries today, after which there's going to be a, what do they call it now? A curriculum developmental session. Now, that is broken into different rooms, different sectors. Different people are going to be sitting together, brainstorming on how to change the curriculum in Nigeria. That's the focus today. In a few moments, the first plenary will start. And we'll be talking to some of those people. Amongst those that are going to be participating in the first plenary is Mrs. Grace Laoye-Tomori, Deputy Governor and Commissioner for Education, Osun State, Mr. Babs Omotowa, who's the MD, Nigerian Liquefied Natural Gas Limited, Mr. Enase Okonedo, Dean, Lagos Business School, Professor Rashid Aderinoye, Executive Secretary, National Commission for Nomadic Education, and so many academicians are part of this panel. They're going to be talking to us about the situation. But first of all, I have someone here who is one man that supports the education system in Nigeria. He's one of those that's been sponsoring the mathematics competition around the country for many years now. The MD of Prt1, who's a partner, one of our partners, Keith Richards. Thank you for coming here. And how has it been? You were here in the first session, and what's your take on the discussion so far?
Well, I think we're identifying the problems, but of course, as always, it's often the solutions and the will to really tackle the issues that stops us from moving forward.
Okay, your company has been sponsoring the mathematics competition around the country. You've talked about the impact it's made on the students and the schools generally. But do you think this summit in any ways is going to help change the mindset of education in Nigeria?
Well, I think it's good to bring it up to this level. I think it's good to expose the issues that we have. I think bringing in some of the international educationalists is very helpful because we need to learn from other countries. The minister's speech, his presentation, put together a lot of numbers, but they're irrelevant unless you compare them to what other countries are doing, because this is a competitive environment. And if not, we're not nurturing our talent at a rate at the same or above other countries, we're going to fall further behind.
Okay, now seeing that you have taken the race, you've taken the first step, now do you think that other players in the private sector will be willing to jump onto the bandwagon to help move the educational sector forward? And for you, what are your next plans?
Well, I hope so. I think the important thing is to be sustainable. Education is not something you can do one small thing, drop out, come in. You know, you really need to build a program, which is what we've tried to do with the mathematics. But you know, the shame is, because we do mathematics, every day people come to me and say, can I help with spelling, reading, essay writing, chemistry? And it would be great if some other companies picked up and built long-term relationships. The long-term relationship for us with the cowbell mathematics has definitely benefited the company. Sure, we put a lot of money in it, we put a lot of time and effort into it, but it has helped us engaged. After all, we're a family food business, so it's helped us to engage with families, with schools, with school children, and it helps you to develop brand equity over a longer period. So definitely there's value for corporates who build those long-term relationships, and these children are going to become leaders of the future, and they will remember if you were part of their development.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, I've been speaking to Mr. Keith Richards, who is the MD of Promasidor, one of those companies that has taken the step to move the educational sector forward. They've been sponsoring the mathematics competition around the country for many years now, and I think the one for 2014 is just about kicked off. I was saying something about the focus of this plenaries for this second day of the Education Summit, or the Economic Summit, second day focused on the education sector and transforming the education sector. Talked about purposeful learning, the purpose of education in Nigeria, and how it's going to all work out. Well, I'm going to be speaking to the MD of Central Securities Clearing System, Kyari Booker, who's also involved in the moving the education sector forward. Mr. Booker, how are you?
Oh, fine.
So far, what's your take on the discussion so far as regards education in Nigeria?
So far, I think the conversation is quite robust, exceptional, if you ask me. And one of the key things about a summit such as this is the level of attendance and the level of engagement. The first day was fantastic, based on those scores, and I would actually give it an A or an A minus.
Okay. Now, the private sector playing a major role in moving the education sector forward. What do you think? Do you think it will work, and how fast can it work?
Education is an investment that takes time to bear fruit. As a business manager, one of the key things I look forward to in getting young graduates or fresh graduates into my organization is to test them on something that I call learning quotient, learnability. Reading, writing, arithmetic is key and fundamental in any nation's quest on economic development. Education is the backbone of that. And for business, what we want are fresh graduates that come in and hit the ground running. Unfortunately, what we have discovered for the organization that I run is that when I get in fresh graduates, we give them about 12 months of training, soft skills, writing, basically the basics that should have been inculcated in the university or in the tertiary institutions. So what you find is that it affects the competitiveness of the organization, because we are not just competing with companies in Nigeria. We are competing globally, because the global competition means that Nigeria will open up and be attractive to foreign investors. So all of these are interconnected, and I believe that the conversation around education is key for our policymakers to make concerted effort in raising the quality of education in Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Kyari Booker, MD of CSCS, talking about the drive to move the education sector forward. Now the plenaries are about to kick off, and I'll take you over to the plenaries now.
Of the 20th Nigeria Economic Summit, let me very quickly here acknowledge the presence here of the Honorable Minister for National Planning, Ambassador Bashir Yaguda. I welcome you. Please, let's put our hands together for him, ladies and gentlemen. Also here with us is the chairman of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, Mr. Folusho Phillips. I also welcome you this morning. You're welcome. Also here with us, I'd like to welcome Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Osun State and Honorable Commissioner for Education. I welcome you. You're welcome. I'd like to also welcome here our keynote speaker, former Minister for Solid Minerals, former Vice President of the World Bank, today the Senior Economic Advisor, Open Society Foundation, one of Nigeria's intellectual strongholds. Please welcome Dr. Ezekwesili. I welcome you. Thank you very much. I'd like to also welcome the two vice chairmen of the board and all the board members of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group. Let's put our hands together for them. They've been absolutely wonderful. Thank you very much. The Director General is also here with us. But let me also welcome very specially all of you, delegates, facilitators, resource persons that have made day one such a resounding success. I welcome all of you. Thank you very much. Yesterday was beautiful. We dealt with the issues of funding, of ICT, and the presidential policy dialogue was very insightful, dealing with everything educational from the point of view of policy. Today is day two, and I welcome you, and it's such a very fitting way to start. I shall be taking a look at education for what purpose. So without much ado, let me invite those that will keep this house warm with their illuminating presentations. Let me first and foremost welcome here the moderator of this session. I'd like to welcome here the President CEO of Annabelle Leadership Academy, Mr. Nicholas Okoye. Our keynote speaker, already introduced, Senior Economic Advisor, Open Society Foundation. And she'll be taking a look at education for purpose, setting the tone for the discussion later today. Please welcome Dr. Ezekwesili. Every step she takes spells education. I welcome you. Our panelist is very, very illustrious. Deputy Governor of Osun State, Commissioner for Education. I'd like to welcome here Mrs. Grace Laoye-Tomori. I welcome you. The Managing Director, Chief Executive, Nigerian Liquefied Natural Gas Limited, Mr. Babs Omotowa, is also here with us. I welcome you, sir. You're welcome. And the Dean, Lagos Business School, Dr. Enase Okonedo, will also be joining us. I welcome you. You're welcome, Doctor. The Executive Secretary, National Commission for Nomadic Education, Professor Rashid Aderinoye, will also be joining us. Prof, you're welcome. Corporate Services Executive, MTN Nigeria, Mr. Wale, Goodluck, I welcome you. Senior Leadership Consultant, International Leadership Foundation, Mr. Victor Cole, you're welcome, sir. Special Advisor to the Governor of Lagos State on Lagos Eco Project. Eco Nibaje? Eco? Okay, Eco. Ms. Ronke Azeez, I welcome you. Thank you for the correction. We may not take Eco now. And let me welcome here, finally, the Managing Director, GlaxoSmithKline Consumer Nigeria PLC, Mr. Chidi Okoro. I'd like to hand things over to the moderator now. Over to you.
commitment of the teachers as a problem. Some folks identified the commitment of the students as a problem. So we all know what the problems are. Today, we're trying to focus on solutions. So without wasting too much of your time, we will first of all go into the keynote address. We will hear from one of the world's leading experts in education and one of Nigeria's finest, Dr. Mrs. Ezekwesili. After that, we will go into the panel discussion.
Shall I go?